Welcome back to the channel. We are in the shop. The main little work area in front of me is empty, and it's kind of a weird week. We've got a couple of days to work on stuff, but we've got some events coming up. 2 weeks from this weekend, 3 weeks, I don't know, it's coming up. There's a car show at the local church in Marquette, Nebraska. I'm going to throw the flyer in here. And we could work on the Plymouth back there, but we took the Plymouth to the car show last year, 2 years ago last year, and it's about in the same state. Actually, it's a little worse off because we popped the windshield out of it and we're doing that rust repair. And it's moving along. There's a video coming, but we've also got customer work and emergency work and service calls and that kind of stuff going on. I've got one customer car here now that I'm hoping a part shows up for in time, or we're gonna have to make a decision there. And otherwise, I don't want to, we got the car show coming, and I'd like to take something different there. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend about 2 days seeing if our international C110/112 will run and drive. When we bought it a little over a year ago, it ran on the bottle just briefly. It's got a hodgepodge of plug wires. It's got a funky dual brake and clutch master cylinder that is completely shot, that we're going to try to fix on a budget, and then we're just going to see. But it's a really cool truck. It's a V8 4-speed, has the dual exhaust and a lot of potential. So we're going to get the four-wheeler, we're going to push it around and push it in here and see if we can get it running. Well, we'll get it running for sure, but see if we can get it running and driving in just a couple days, and then we'll kind of clean the mouse crap out of it and roll her up to church for the car show. Odds. Not good. No, not good. But let's try. Well, feast your eyes on this bad ride. 1962 C112. It is a 112. It says so on the data plate right here. We bought this, a little over a year ago out in western Nebraska. 2-3 hour drive. What tickled our fancies was, first of all, 4-speed, and first of all, V8 International. It's either a 304 or a 345 maybe. We'll have to get some numbers off of it, but it's complete. Oh, here's something I haven't seen in a while. Now, usually we got the meeces living in here, but it looks like Mr. Snaky Snake may have had a good time in here. He grew and got rid of his old suit. We're just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Yeah, so V8, it's kind of got a little bit of mismatch spark plug wires. We did hear it run through with a bottle feeder. and it's got a couple issues. We know right off the bat. This guy right here. It's the brake master cylinder. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the brake master cylinder, and it's the clutch master cylinder. So yeah, one reservoir. Ow! Son of a biscuit! That was my elbow against steel. Deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Deep breath. We got some snake poop in here. Never seen that before. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, these guys in the international flavor are expensive, like $160. But the same era of General Motors trucks used a dual slave and brake master cylinder in their rigs. A little bit different mount, but you can pick them up for 40 or 50 bucks. So we've got one of those on the bench over there somewhere. We're going to address that. And then I'm pretty sure I don't have it's a canister oil filter. I guarantee I don't have that. Let's go ahead. Where's the stick? Here's the stick. It's got oil in it. Doesn't look horrible. It's got no battery. We do have a positive end with some mouse eating out of it. And then here's how we used to do ground wires, guys. That's ground wire. Now I don't know why they have side post terminals adapted to top post terminals down the road. We'll fix that. But we need battery. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? That's completely empty. Okay, no surprise there. 4-speed, don't have to check automatic transmission fluid. We got more snake poop down there, it looks like. So anyway, yeah, and then we've got an extra. Well, no, we thought we had an extra plug wire, but we actually have 2 halves because somebody got hungry. All right, we don't need that extra plug wire anymore. Yeah, all right, let's quit dickering around here and kind of see what goes. I don't even know if I have a key for this. Let me look for a key and I'll come back to you. So I'm back from the key hooks. We've got, and they're not organized at all. They're over there. And I found a key. It looks to match the patina of the truck, but it says Briggs and Stratton on it. I don't know. It's the only one over there that's not, you know, clearly for some other kind of truck or car. Let's see. Oop, goes in. Oh, look at that. We got us a key. Okay. I thought we had a key. I wasn't sure, but we do. We do. All right. Yeah. This door is in need of some lubrication badly. All right. Let's start with some basics. We got to find a battery with some voltages and then figure out if this thing's going to crank on its own or if we need a hot wire or what. We'll put a wrench on it and make sure that it spins. It spun pretty easy when we bought it, but it has been a minute. So let's do some of that and then we'll get you caught up. %, more cleaner. Okay, we did some more preliminarily inspecting and we got some issues. We've got these green wires here. I'm assuming this one was connected here. This one is or was connected underneath this Gorilla Tape. And then one of those green wires comes over to the positive side of the coil. The other looks like it goes to the temperature sender. Not as concerned about the temp sender right now, but we do need to be concerned about getting power to the coil. And then between the coil and the distributor, there's a little black wire, and it was chewed once and twisted back together, and then looks like it has since been chewed again. So we definitely got to fix this wire, and we'll fix both of those just because we can. Now over here, you know, this truck, another thing that kind of got us onto this thing was it's fairly unmolested. Something made it stop working, and they parked it, and they didn't molest on it anymore after that. Too much anyway. The horn's been unhooked. Looks like we had something getting a little warm. Maybe she stuck on or shorted or something. This, however, this yellow wire here is an add-on from a previous owner, and it's only worn through or chewed through in about 38 different spots. So we're gonna bring it back to, and it's not hooked up to anything, so we're gonna cut it back to about here to where it can't cause us any smoky, fiery problems, and get it out of there. The only other wire I see right now that's been add-on is there's a light blue wire that comes from the dash over there up over the washer motor and goes that way down to the back of the truck. The starter's under this little tin shield right down there, and it's caked in about 6 inches of dirt and mud. Fuel pump's down here. We have a glass strainer bowl. This is the inlet from the tank, outlet to the carb. So before we do anything, we'll be removing this one at least so we don't suck up what might be in there and contaminate the carburetor. Fuel tank on this bad ride. The fill is kind of cool. It's here in the front fender, and then the tank itself is under there. So we got a dent, and otherwise, I mean, kind of so. Ooh, drain plug. We can drain the fuel tank. That's gonna be handy. And then we've got an outlet, and I don't see any rust through. It looks like a universal radiator hose somebody put in there for a fill hose, so that might cause us a problem when we go to try to put gas in here. But more than likely, from the initial assessment, we might be able to clean this tank up just a little bit and pull fuel out of it. Wouldn't that be super cool? All right, moving on. What else did we find? Oh, we're up to 3 of just, here's the interesting part. We're just have the spark plug ends of 3 wires. So the meeces are, I mean, some of these might have been cut. No, they were chewed. The meeces really, like, they carried off the other ends apparently, or they've already been thrown away by somebody. We had a engine heater of sorts maybe, but I don't know where. Oh, there it is. It goes, it's a heater hose style heater, engine heater. So that's there and probably gonna leak. We crawled underneath real briefly. We've got at least 1 frost plug on this side that's probably rusted, 1 on this side that is rusted through and has a little leak. But the positive side of that is the leak was green fluid. Wasn't just water, wasn't rusty, wasn't muck. It actually had a green tinge to it. So I'm gonna consider that a small, you know, victory or positive sign at least. Okay, so stop rambling. Fix wire, cut wire, and remove fuel line. And then, oh, under here. That's what I didn't show you yet. Here. Probably gonna do a rebuild on this guy, I guarantee you. But, so, we've done some Holley 4-barrel work, we've done some Holley 1-barrel work, and here we have, see down there, Holley, right there, Holley 2-barrel. Linkage is intact, so we are going to, you know, and it's fairly clean, got some soot in there and stuff. So yeah, it should, you know, if it's got spark, it should make a little run at it here. Let's get the wiring repaired. We did this one with a heat shrink connector and a new end, new little chunk of wire. Over here, now I know, don't roast me in the comments, this is temporary. The reason we did this, and I'm sure I don't have any reason to think that they got crossed up, but these two wires are exactly the same color. So we want to make sure that if we need to switcheroo them, we aren't wasting, you know, $4 or $5 in heat shrink connectors to do it. So that's going to be temporary. Everything else is cleaned off. We loosened up the output line on the fuel pump so it won't try to suck gross stuff out of there. And then we came over here, we cleaned up, we found the battery, we stole it out of the Plymouth over there, and got our terminals. These were clamped down tighter than anything. So we got our terminals spread apart, cleaned up battery side, terminal side, and now it's smoke test time. That one's on pretty good. This one's a little loose now that we got it spread back apart here, so we're just gonna snug this a little bit. I don't see any fire. I don't smell any fire. I'm telling you, this snake crawled all up in here and just pooped all over the place. Not nice. Let's look in here. Do we have any good or bad signs in here? Don't see anything going on bad in here. We're gonna go. How about key on? I should go get a test light and see if we got voltages in places. Why don't I do that? Okay. Got something going on there. What do we got over here? Nothing. Nothing. Whoopsie. Power there. Nothing there. Alright. So we got some power going to some things. Let's just strike the key here. I did hear a click though. I wonder if our battery's a little low. Amp gauge appears to be working. Let's give her a little jump start. Try 40 amp. Already neutral. Well, okay then. Huh. Spun over nice. Just needed battery. Let's put our little spark thingy in there. Spark thingy incoming. Good there. Good here. And I should be able to. You guys probably couldn't see that, but we do have spark. And I smell very turpentine, very, very turpentine stuff. So we got spark. There's nothing preventing air from going into the carburetor. Got the old 2-cycle mix. Try to fill the bowl up just a little bit here. Okay. That's a good sign. Spot to grab onto the linkages. No, we got no pumpage. You are not going to believe this, guys. I kept smelling bad fuel, and I thought it was just maybe the carburetor had some in it, because it did run off the bottom when we looked at it. But look down here. Dang fuel pump's trying to pump fuel out of that nasty gas tank. So we're going to take just a little bit of a break. If it wants to pump fuel, we might just let it. We're gonna drop the bowl off of that accumulator, filter, whatever you want to call it, and then we're gonna pull that plug in the tank and put some gas in this thing, and we might. Oh, you guys, I almost had a heart attack. I almost died of a heart attack. So these have a saddle. This is the glass bowl off of the fuel pump, and they have a saddle that goes from one side to the other and a little screw in the bottom like an old tractor. It's an international thing. Anyway, the saddle unscrewed, got it loose, and I swung it off to the side, and I thought, oh, just in case, we better go grab the drain pan in case there's a little turpentine in here. Went back to grab the drain pan, and I heard thunk on the ground. I thought for sure this thing hit the concrete and shattered. Luckily enough, we've scraped enough dirt and crud and grass and corn stalks and everything off here. It hit right in the middle of my dirt pile, and it did not break. So we're gonna clean out, you know, the rest of that. That's way beyond turpentine. We're gonna clean this out and probably put a little bit of air pressure in the fuel tank and see if we can't get fuel to come through the inlet to this bowl. We'll rinse that out. We've got about 2 gallons of fuel in the tank. This is what happened. We pulled the drain plug and poured a little bit of gas in the tank, and we kind of got this brownish, even has some seaweed or some sort of varnish growing in it. So we put the plug back in, put a couple more gallons in, and it's just sitting there. But what we might do now is pressurize that fuel tank just a little bit and see if we can push some fuel to our pump. Okay, update already. We looked upstairs there to see what else was hanging on inside this bowl. There's a fuel filter that goes bink like this up in there. Probably nearly impossible to source. We're going to take a little break and get on the old pocket computer and see. So far we've been able to find an oil filter, a carb kit, spark plugs, and I'm not sure on wires that we can have in the morning. This might be our stumbling block here. Alright, so as bad as that looks, and here's our filter element, and we're actually going to try and clean and reuse that. And here's the spring that provides tension on that sucker. So, you know, you'd think, what do we got in store for us in this actual fuel pump? And surprise, surprise, look how clean it is up in there, you guys and gals. Isn't that just spectacular? I mean, that's clean. We're gonna go ahead, this line you see over here, that's from the tank. We're gonna go ahead and put some air through that and push some fuel through this thing and get, you know, cleanish fuel to the bowl. And then we're gonna take carb cleaner and brake cleaner and a really delicate brush and some really delicate air use, and we're gonna clean out that filter best we can. We're gonna put it back together and yeah, roll with it for now. Well, there's a little less light than there was. We had a little bit of a fight on our hands. Jalen's home from work, and what we had was down in these parts here. I'll take this one. Oh, so down in these parts, that's where fuel comes out of the tank, And it used to be an elbow. Well, here, it used to be this setup with an elbow. And number one, this rubber line had collapsed on itself, so it was almost all the way clogged. But then there was a clog down in the fuel pickup in the tank. And we ended up at that pickup tube going in there's got to be 3 feet long. But eventually we worked some air back and forth and we got the clog pretty much dissolved, I think. It might come back and bite us. But we've got about 4 gallons of fuel in the tank. We didn't get anything drained out, so it's a little skunky, but it's mostly fresh. And then we just bypassed what was here with a new piece of regular fuel line. Now, then we spent some time. My phone's falling off me. And I apologize for the camera angle. But Jalen cleaned up the bowl on our fuel pump and cleaned up our filter a little bit, and we put the old gasket back in there. We don't have fuel up here yet, but if the pump's gonna pump, it should be able to pull now. So that's kind of where we're at. We're gonna crank over a little bit. So we're back on top now. That's your fuel pump, and we have the outlet, which is that shiny bright brass piece right there, is loose. So we should be able to crank it over now, and if it wants to pull fuel and pump fuel, we should get a little bit of spritz out of there. That's where it was spritzing out of when we were just trying to crank it earlier. So let's put that light there, and then we're gonna crank this engine over a little bit. It probably won't fire. Yeah, we got a leak. Yeah, guys, it's wanting to pump fuel. All right, we're gonna tighten that up now. If you want to grab another half, we're gonna disconnect it now at the carb.
So you're gonna push it up there?
Push it up there and get all the dirt out of this section of line. It's kind of a systematic approach. Okay, that's good. Yep. Wow, that's a heck of a good fuel pump. Mm-hmm. There we go.
I told you it ran.
25 years since this thing last ran on its own. We do have a fuel leak out of the carburetor. We got a carburetor kit coming in the morning.
You go back here and show someone. This thing might not be running too great right now, but it sounds pretty good. It's already got glass packs under it, through duals. This thing's sweet.
That is awesome. Thing runs pretty good. And we do have, to recap, we've got a carb kit, an oil filter, and we'll get spark plugs tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow lunchtime, we'll be in a good place. Now, our next issue with this is this dual clutch brake master cylinder. We did put a little bit of fluid in it just to see if things were going to be happy. The brake side is over here on the International, and the clutch side over here. Brakes probably would have come around and life would have been good. However, the clutch side, it had frozen. The cylinder is frozen somewhere in the middle of here, and it won't move. The International version of that is extremely expensive, like $160. However, it just so happens
that Chevy, GMC, the Chevy guys and gals, they used a very similar setup in the same era of trucks. So we bought one of those, I think less than $50. Now the only difference is, well, so far, cosmetically from the outside, is that the International version mounts with 4 bolts, while the Chevy version mounts with 3. We were just looking at this, however, and the 2 top ear bolts on the Chevy version are 5 inches apart. Just so happens International are also 5 inches apart. So this is going to be a much easier swap than we thought. At the most, what we'll have to do, if we can't drill a hole in the center, because we do have the steering column that comes right through there, what we will do is we'll fabricate a bar to go across. Here, there. We'll fabricate a bar to go across from here to here with holes in it, and we'll just sandwich this bottom lip, and we'll make some spacers and stuff so everything's nice and tight against the firewall, and I think that'll work just fine. That's our plan right now. We've got our brake line and our clutch line off, and Jalen's disconnecting the linkages on the inside, and then we're going to rip this one out and we'll just see how things start to fit. Next day alert, I've changed my mind again. So we've got it running, you've seen it running, it sounds great. There's just a little bit of lifter noise coming from the passenger side. I don't think we're charging. We don't have coolant in it, and we're still on old spark plugs, the carburetor leaks, all this other stuff. We were gonna roll this into one video, and we started with the clutch and brake master cylinder here, but we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop this one here. We're gonna do a separate video on the carb rebuild because we haven't done a Holley 2-barrel video yet. And then this is gonna be a super cool money saver budget swap, so stay tuned for that. Once again, thanks so much for watching our stuff. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, tippy tap down there, let us know what those are. We're gonna end this one. Appreciate you. See you on the next video.